Hello and welcome to Stampscaping 101. Sometimes people ask me, what do you do with the finished scene after you've stamped something out? You know, what do you do with this landscape scene? Well, most of us rubber stampers are in some form, or the majority of our works are done for the purpose of creating cards. This scene right here, this little tiny tile here, it's just like this tile that I did on that Introduction to Stampboard lesson in the last video. Here's a little tile that I've created using the old mill large stamp. And let me see if I can kind of get the shine on this. I don't know if you can see that reflection there. See how shiny it's become? It's because I've sealed it off with a polyurethane spray, and I've taken that tile, and it's three-dimensional, as you can see. I've taken a pigment ink, and I've done the edges in blue. I've just kind of taken a tile, and I've just dabbed it right into a pigment ink. And I've mounted it here on this, or I've matted it onto this blue double mat. I don't know if you can kind of make out the double mat there, but here's a kind of a thinner, lighter blue around that. And this paper right here is this kind of this textured paper black, and it just opens up into a card. So anyways, it's kind of a nice little embellishment to a card. And that's just, that's with a small piece of 2x2 inch stamp board. In terms of making a card. Now, I mean, I don't really need to go into, paper folding or something like that, but I thought I would show you some scenes that I've done in the past and kind of the choices I've made as far as creating some mats with just colored cardstock. Now, in a lot of the scenes that I've done in lessons so far, I've used a white gel pen to do a lot of little flourishes in terms of lighting effects, little stars, highlights on different objects, until it becomes somewhat of a unifying texture and a little source of light within the scene. Okay, now these gel pens can be, for the most part, they're fairly opaque, but inevitably, sometimes, because we're working on dye-based inks, some of that dye-based ink will kind of seep through that ink, and these little dots that we might make from a gel pen might become a little bit more translucent. All right, now that being said, on a lot of these scenes that I've done, I've put this real thin mat around that scene. What I use is, I don't like to use white. I mean, I will if that's all I had, but what I have right here is this kind of iridescent Star Dream, they call it, paper. It's just a very light blue, and I've put a thin line around this scene right here because I kind of want to match somewhat the width of this little dot here. So I feel that by putting that little mat around this scene, it kind of pulls out all those little tiny detail highlights that are within this scene. Okay, now some of the scenes that I'm going to be showing you, I should say, are prints where I've taken a finished scene and I've scanned it and I've printed it out, okay? This scene right here in its full size is an 8.5 by 11 inch picture. A little bit too big for a card format, so I've reduced it down, printed it out, and then matted it, after the fact. In this scene right here, this autumn scene, this is about 100%. This one also has been printed out. But you can see that real thin mat of the Star Dream blue around it. And this is a triple mat right here. I've used this, I don't know, kind of a cherry red, I don't know, more of like a plum second border around it. A little bit thicker than that blue one, that real thin blue one. And then off to the edge, you know, I wanted to pull out some of the greens in here. You know, for the most part, these the dominant colors in here. I don't know. There's a lot of blue too, but kind of I'm focusing more around the colors of the land areas. You know, and trying to pull out some of these reds with this red right here. So often I go thin, a little bit thicker, and then thicker. You know, around the edge right there. Okay. You saw me do the green glow scene in a previous lesson. This one is not that particular scene, but you can see where I just have those little tiny stars within the scene, and you can see where I put that little mat around it, you know, that little border of that star dream blue paper. And in this scene, believe it or not, I don't know, I had some little streaks of brown, and I don't know if I can pick that up at all, but I've put this little thin layer of kind of a burgundy color going around right next to that mat. I wanted it subtle, so I did a real thin, you know, mat of it, and on the end I bordered it off again with colors similar to this kind of this olive green on the perimeter here, with this mat out here, kind of the thickest of the mats. This scene right here goes into the different trees. For the most part, it's green dominant, but again, I have a little highlights down here with that gel pen in the form of white dots, and again, you can see that little thin layer of a border going around there. So you'll see this being used over and over again. I don't know. On this scene right here, again, real similar to the green glow, except it's working through warmer colors. And those dots didn't really, some of them bled a little bit, so you see some of that red-ish tone coming through them. So they're not so stark white. So what I've done is I've actually taken a metallic gold matte and put it around there, and a little bit of this iridescent, you know, kind of metallic purple tone, you know, kind of go with this color scheme right here, and somewhat of a I don't know, some kind of form of like a warm tan border on the outside right there to kind of pick up that glow coming from within. Here's another scene featuring a lot of the wave stamps. Not all the stamps in here, by the way, are Stampscape stamps. These little octopus are from different companies right there. I kind of had them, kind of a squid battling an octopus. But anyway, you can see that little bit of a warm glow coming back in here. It's not just the stark white of the paper. This is white right here, but back in the distance, I think that was a peach Bellini or something like that. So for the most part, you have a lot of blues and blacks in here, but I wanted to pick up that little bit of a warm glow, so I put that little thin border around the edge, just to kind of pick up some of those tones within there. And here we have this kind of darker, kind of charcoal green to pick up some of the greenish tones that are running around in here. A real light, airy card, you know. Not everything is super dark that I do, but I don't know, I guess most of it is for some reason. But anyways, that little star dream paper on the outside, not in a thin one this time, but I don't know, just to kind of pick up the blue of the sky right there, and the warm tones, greens and tans in here, so I've kind of bordered it with the green and the tan. Now the reason I didn't do this star dream right next to the original scene is because the original scene is really light, right? So I have to go with something dark next to it, because if I had the star dream right next to the scene right here, we wouldn't even be able to see, you know, the star dream or light blue next to that. So I had to come up with something of a contrast. Real similar, again, to the green glow and that other kind of warmer Aurora Borealis scene, but this one's just streaking at an angle like this, okay? And again, I don't know, just a little bit of a gold, you know, for a little bit of a contrast against this scene, some, you know, some richness, you know, gold and purple go well together in terms of color harmony. but a couple different versions of variations of violet on the outside. This one right here, I believe, is a Star Dream purple. I don't know. I don't consciously go out and buy all these metallic papers, but when I go, look through my collection, I seem to be a sucker for like iridescence and metallics, so I use a lot of those in my matting here. Greens, blues, a little bit of brown tones here for the tree trunks, so I used a little bit of this copper going around in there. This one right here, we have a really rich scene using a lot of golds, a lot of whimsical elements to the scene. This one was in Rubber Stamp Madness years ago, but you can see, what is it, 1, 2, 3, 4 mats on here. I don't know. It's using a lot of paper, I know, and but if you have a scene that you really like and it can benefit from that, I don't know, these mats can really, lend a nice little, I don't know, finish to these scenes. Kind of a dark and dreary looking scene right here, kind of mystical, so I've kind of just gone with a little bit of a thin mat of tan around there to pick up these warm tones in there, and kind of a charcoal grayish green tone around there. And that's the same type of thing that's going on right here. I didn't want to have too much of a brightness to this because I wanted it real murky. So I've had these two colors right here that are very similar in value, so that they kind of blend in with one another, but they give a little bit of a different contrast with one another. And I didn't go with a straight black here because none of these images in here seem to stay very black, so they're a little bit gray, so I've gone with this grayish tone around there. Green tones, again, you can see that real thin, for this dark scene, a real thin light blue to pick up some of these little twinkly highlights. Same octopus as in that last scene, kind of attacking this ship right here, but you can see about a triple layer of matting around it. And these scenes right here kind of went together, similar mats for continuity between them. A little warm glow in the background, being brought out by that thin layer of similar value and temperature. Kind of a shimmering, this is Oaks and Mist right here. I brought in a silver around there. I kind of, there's nothing silver in here, but it had a silverish feel to it with the, the color box pigment ink being used up here for fog. So I put this silver matting around it right there, in addition to that little blue one. And here's another accompanying scene for that triptych, that was back here. These kind of went together. Volcano, a lot of different colors in here, jeweled tones, so we have a real thin pink in here, tan, some kind of a metallic purple, light violet, and red. So you can see what that red really brings out, the red inner area. Another scene right here. This is a stamp by a different company, and that thin border around there to make it pop out from the background, and this similar color right here to this pinkish tone, reddish tone in the background right there. And another kind of whimsical scene. Again, a nice bright red to bring out that red within there. And all those little twinkly star highlights and stuff, see those little glowing stars. Remember how I showed you to do it with this color box pigment ink and Q-tip? Anyways, you can see that little border really brings out all these little points of light and highlights. And one more scene right here, kind of a dark moonlit scene. A lot of little highlights down there on the bushes and things being brought out by that thin layer around the border. And I don't know why I used green in here, but I don't know, it kind of gave me that feel and I don't know, it worked okay. Maybe this little tan right here could, you know, bring out the colors of this one lone figure in there that I've applied a little bit of probably a peach Bellini or a light pink to. And in the background here, it's not all just black and white, it's a little bit of a warmth to it, you know, in there. And, you know, now that I think about it, I think I did this scene years and years and years ago, but I think I did use a little bit of a bluish tone in here, so where that blue kind of overlaps some of that black, it started to look a little bit green, so that's what you have right here on this border. So anyways, here's some matting ideas, and I don't mat everything that I do, but I don't know, whenever I see anyone do it, or, you know, I see scenes like this, I'm kind of reminded of the value of doing that. It really, I don't know, it really adds a lot to the finished scene, so... And again, you know, if you're doing a card, this one's just a flat scene right here. You know, I can write on the back of it right here as a card, but what you would just do is on this last piece, you would just make it, I wouldn't cut it out right here. I would fold it over, you know, and I would mat, you know, this green part right on top of there, so it would make a fairly large card. Or you can reduce them down and make them into smaller ones. But anyways, those are my ideas of matting. I'm not really that great at it, but, you know, as far as I understand the general concepts of picking up the colors, you know, of whatever kind of color you want, you know, to really kind of stand out a little bit more, you know, to bring emphasis to it, is to just use it on a mat, and I don't know, it can kind of finish